Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today, it's time to unravel the curtain in front of Kairosoft's most wanted simulation game titles. Recently, I made a video of my personal top 5 simulation game ideas that I would love to see Kairosoft make, a game company which has made some of the best simulation games I've ever played. So if you haven't seen that video already, I would recommend checking it out after this one. After I constructed my personal list, I confined with the help of Kairosoft fans to rally up their top video game ideas and uncover the top 5 Kairosoft titles that their fanbase is itching to play. Let's delve right into the community's top picks to answer the question of what is the Kairosoft game that the fans want to see the most. Number 5. Emergency Service Story and Space Exploration Story. Speeding into our 5th position at light speed is actually a tie between two suggestions, Emergency Service Story and Space Exploration Story. Let's start off first with Emergency Service Story. This title would be a simulation of first responders of emergencies, managing how quickly they can react to critical situations alongside managing the headquarters and its staff. This is a fantastic idea. There are 3 easy primary stories that could come about from this. Police Station Story, Ambulance Station Story, and Fire Brigade Story. Each of these titles could easily stand alone as an individual story each, or could be combined into the one ultimate first responders story game, providing you with a challenge to manage all 3 services in a town. Emergency Service Story would be an amazing title, and it certainly stands on its own as being unique to the currently available titles. The gameplay of these titles would be very diverse, trying your best to respond to emergency situations by upgrading your fleet to get the best time possible, and managing your staff would be a blast to play through. Every fleet member would have their own unique strengths and weaknesses, and you would have to carefully manage what responders and their teams are deployed to certain scenarios. The annual competitions could include Employees of the Year, based off of their performance of the year, and it could also just be a standard best company in the world ranking. I'm looking forward to fighting fires, responding to medical emergencies, and arresting baddies in this title. But that's not all for number 5, there was actually a vote tie for this position. And the second title that squeezed into the 5th position is Space Exploration Story. Hold on, wait a minute, isn't there already a space-themed Kairosoft game? Namely, Epic Astro Story? But that's correct, there is a space-themed game currently that is themed around Kairobot and where he comes from. But from the feedback the community provided, a space exploration story is still well sought after and desired, specifically a title that is focusing on exploring new planets and areas while managing a space base either on a ship or a customizable planet, allowing you to edit the building layout similar to Hot Springs Story and other popular titles. There is a lot of potential around upgrading your home base over time to be able to develop more advanced spacecrafts to travel even further, and even managing a spaceship fleet, potentially even engaging with battles with aliens. There are so many unique things that could go into this game, and Kairosoft is great at that. This is a game that truly has no creative limits and could be one of the most impressive Kairosoft titles if done right. I could see why it is desired, and I personally would love to explore some Kairosoft made planets. Number 4. Football Story. Kicking off the next entry of this list is the most popular community sports Kairosoft title idea, Football Story. Kairosoft has been expanding its sporting range over the years to have an impressive range of titles, but there is one that is clearly most desired by the community. Football Story would be a fantastic team-based sports entry, tasking you with managing all positions of the field to lead your team to being the best football team in the world. There is huge potential for a massive Super Bowl-like grand finale that your team would aspire to top. Not to mention that I think in particular this game would have a huge, impressive catalogue of player customization and player training potential, ranging from increasing player speed, perfecting pass accuracy and long throws, mastering sidestepping to slip by enemies with high percentage, and increasing their strength for a better chance of taking down enemy attackers. This game is a fantastic choice for a new Kairosoft sports title and would be a blast to raise your small team all the way from the bottom to taking out the Super Bowl tournament. Number 3. Truck Depot Story. Pulling up into the number 3 position in today's list is Truck Depot Story, Kairosoft's truck management sim. Last year, Kairosoft surprised lots of fans by unveiling the curtains on Jumbo Airport Story. This was a fantastic game that introduced Kairosoft fans to the idea of managing an airline fleet and also the airport that it resides in. It was almost like a new genre of the games. Jumbo Airport Story and World Cruise Story both received lots of fan praise, and after playing these two it's easy to see why. Truck Depot Story would be a container truck management game focusing primarily on the expansion of your truck yard. This game could introduce some really interesting puzzle-like mechanics, as you have to juggle around the layout of your facility to be able to accommodate your expanding truck fleet. As trucks arrive and depart, you would have to manage exactly where they traverse without blocking or interfering with any scheduled or current jobs. As standard with most Kairosoft games, you are in charge of managing the staff at the facility, expanding their skill set and continually improving their abilities throughout the playthrough. The primary objective of the title would be to pull shipping containers from locations such as ports, shipping yards and rails, and returning them to the yard to be delivered. It would be super fun to see a mini-map of the world similar to Grand Prix Story, showing where containers are located that need to be transported. Progression in this game could involve uncovering and discovering higher paying rare and exotic container payloads that could be golden or another special color, which require a more advanced, beefed up truck to move. It would also be really cool and satisfying if you could see what gets delivered, and I think Kairosoft has a really good sprite set and creative mindset, produce some really interesting shipping containers and their customers. Thanks to the commenters who suggested this video for their detailed insights into this title suggestion. I agree completely that this would be a great new transportation Kairosoft game that could bring in some completely new gameplay concepts to the ever-expanding Kairosoft title list. Number 2, Animal Shelter Story. Scheduling into the number 2 spot is Animal Shelter Story. The concept of an animal shelter or vet game is certainly one I've seen brought up multiple times in previous suggestion threads, and I was not one bit surprised to see it ranked so highly on today's list. Animal Shelter Story would be an adorable Kairosoft game that would perfectly showcase Kairosoft's signature pixel art style and charm, even more so than the typical title. Earlier in this year, Zoo Park Story was released, showcasing Kairosoft's potential to make a game like this, incorporating an impressive range of adorable animals that you can collect. In a similar fashion, Tropical Resort Story also experimented with adding in a collectathon of wild animals that you can collect one by attracting them to your resort. It's almost like Kairosoft is teasing us with these games. A full-blown Animal Shelter Story would be an engaging title. The concept that would make this particular title more unique than the previous two is specializing in pets and their specific breeds. There could be a ginormous catalog of cats, dogs, birds, fish, hamsters, and even more to collect. The collectible aspect of this game could be so amazing with so much potential. I think this title could also incorporate a lot of unique Kairosoft features. One that could be utilized really well for this title, and I think would be really interesting, is an incompatible combo list. As you upgrade facility equipment and manage pet appointments, you will also have to lay out where each of the pets are stored. Typically in Kairosoft games, when combinations are built, they actually give great benefits to nearby buildings. But for this game, placing certain animals near each other such as cats and dogs and cats and birds would cause incompatibility and negative results instead. This could be a really interesting title to manage the layout extremely carefully to ensure compatibility more so than previous titles. It would be a major component of this game. This Kairosoft game suggestion has certainly stolen my heart and would be a fantastic title that I would love to see made one day. Before we jump into the number 1 spot, let's go through some honourable mentions of ideas that didn't make the top 5. Starting off the list is Circus Story, a game about managing a clown fleet and life touring as a circus show. Korean Idol Story would task you with managing a K-pop superstar, similar to March to a Million, but with an idol instead. Prison Story would lock you inside the cells of a jail facility, managing the jail layout and the prisoners, eventually releasing them as they have reformed and finished their sentences. Wrestling Story would be a hit game managing a wrestler's journey to the number 1 wrestling spot. Special note for this one, keep an eye out for my upcoming untranslated Kairosoft titles video, as you might see a nice surprise related to this. Volleyball Story is a great sports suggestion for managing a volleyball team across normal courts, sand courts, and even water courts. This could be a very diverse sports title. Magic School Story would be an enchanting game incorporating elements of spell creations and magic learning. Again, for this one in particular, keep an eye out for my untranslated Kairosoft game video coming out later this month. Vehicle Manufacturer Story, an expansion of Grand Prix Story's kart building mechanic but with actual larger cars, taking place within an expandable vehicle manufacturing warehouse. And the final suggestion we have rounding up the honourable mentions is actually a sequel to an existing game, Ninja Village, and Ninja Village 2 would particularly focus on bringing samurais into the story. All of the ideas presented in today's video have been super unique, so I want to thank everyone for participating and showcasing so many creative and imaginative ideas. Let's ring into the number 1 spot and uncover the game that Kairosoft fans want to see the most. Number 1. Hotel Story. The suggestions with the most votes were Hotel Story and Bookstore Story. However, Bookstore Story is actually not a new idea for Kairosoft. The first ever PC game Kairosoft ever made was a used Bookstore Story game. Check out my Kairosoft Dev Spotlight video if you want to find out more about this title. So for the number 1 spot, we are going to focus on Hotel Story, as it is a new concept, and oh boy, there is such a huge amount of ideas that I came up with when thinking of Hotel Story. I don't even know where to begin for this one, as it has so much potential. I imagine this title playing out similar to Mega Mall's story, but with a twist of being able to manage the layout of each floor similar to the normal bird's eye view in Kairosoft games, giving you both a 2D and a 3D view of the hotel. This game would allow you to not only view each floor individually with a traditional bird's eye view similar to Hot Springs Story, but also pivot and swap to a front-facing 2D view, showing a glance of all of the guests moving up and down the levels and showing the front stores of each level. This title will provide so much potential for making the ultimate themed areas in a Kairosoft game. You could have one floor specializing in food restaurants and drink facilities. There could be another floor that specifically shows off certain facilities such as pools and gyms. And of course, you would also be in charge of laying out hotel rooms and managing all the guests and where they stay. Imagine theming floors after certain Kairosoft titles. It would be absolutely amazing. You could have one floor with arcades and games similar to Pocket Arcade Story, have another level with saunas and massage chairs similar to Hot Springs Story, and another floor with a huge customizable pool with custom slides and palm trees like Pool Slide Story. This title would be the ultimate customizable experience, and I could 100% see why this was the most upvoted result, allowing you to create endless floors of custom themed facilities, especially if you can manage multiple levels of floors similar to Mega Mall Story, while also having the ability to swap to a 3D bird's eye view. This is a fantastic game suggestion, and I for one believe it will eventually come one day. This is a quality idea with just so many possibilities. As we wrap up this video, a massive thank you to each and every single one of you for participating and voting for this video. Without your continued support, videos like this wouldn't be possible, so I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for supporting me reviewing some of my favorite games I have ever played. Kairosoft's international journey is rapidly hitting new highs with the recent ports of their library to modern consoles, and I am very excited for the journey of the new users discovering Kairosoft games and getting to experience these games for the first time. I know for one, I certainly will never forget that personal feeling I had downloading playing Game Dev Story for the first time off the iOS store. Playing Game Dev Story and seeing how unique the concept was is something that will always stick with me. I am planning on making more user voting videos, so if you enjoyed today's video, please consider subscribing, commenting and liking to continue to support the series. As always, I hope you have a good one, and I'll catch you in the next one.